Okay, y'all, it's Sue-Ann Okerwall, and I'm doing another Course in Miracles video on the two worlds, the two thought systems. This course is all about the miracle. It's called Course in Miracles, and the miracle is the change in thought systems from one to another. So the first thing we have to become aware of is like that there even are two thought systems. And we read the book, we get used to all the lingo, we get used to the concepts, we talk with other people, we text with other people about this material, and we come to know that that there seems to be two thought systems, but we still don't really have a good feeling for what that even means. So then what the next phase that you would go into would be where you're going to do the forgiveness process. And this is a going into your mind, and you are going to find out that there's two thought systems. There's as if there's two yous. So I explain this a lot in a lot of videos, not a lot of videos. I'm trying to say in my responses on Facebook, Course in Miracles groups, and when I post about how there seems to be like two things going on at once. So what begins to happen is you find your right mind and you live and abide as your right mind. What does it say? Love and peace and light and joy. I'm kind of very much paraphrasing here, is abides in me. And actually you feel like you abide in that as yourself. So that is the feeling that you will have when you find your right mind through the forgiveness process and you remain there. So once you find that, you do not stray off and mind wander anymore off into being the character. This character as if it was like a doll that you entered in, a pre-planned situation where all the decisions, all the things that would happen to it, its personality, its likes, its dislikes are all set up, and then you go into it as the one mind and pretend that you're limited as that thing in a limited world. And you live that out and you watch it. So the whole time you have been experiencing yourself as something separate, and you have been offloading your guilt out of the mind into this separate self and the separate world and all the other separate selves, and wondering why you can't put it all back together. Because it was made to be separate and to hold the guilt and be a topsy-turvy world, a roller coaster world with the good and the bad, all the opposites in what also in other paths is called duality, where you've got goods and bads and all these levels of things. So once you find your right mind and you remain there, you always have that sense of that. It's like an underlying thing that is always there. And right now, anybody can find it because we're always experiencing, we're always looking. And like a quick way would be just to notice that when you were a child, and then you were in middle school, and then you were in high school, and all through the years of your living, all the different experiences, all the different people you've lived with, all the different kinds of relationships you've had, all the phases you've had in your life of education and work and perhaps marriage, children, all these things, having dogs, houses, that all these things, that they have been actually pre-planned. And they are part of this world, and they obey the world's laws. So this small self, this personal self, this individual self, this hero of the dream, whatever you want to call it, it goes on and is playing like a movie. So meanwhile, there is this you that has always been aware of yourself, unchanging. This is a capital S self, the right mind is self. This is what the miracle is after. The miracle is after reminding you that you are always the self and you are not the character in the dream actually ever at all. It was like a game that was being played. It was a game that was chosen. And now once you get to know that it is a game that is chosen and you're not it, you easily remain as this awareness, this pure awareness that it's love with no opposite. So as you're being that, then it appears as if you're still this this human to everyone else that still has its personality, has its way of talking. I have a English language that I speak. I have a backyard out there with a bunch of stuff out there, and a wheel and tire and grass, and I've got my pretend flowers here. So all that just keeps on going on, right? It doesn't stop. It doesn't change. You never change maybe anxiety or anger or a separation feeling that this character has, because that is all belonging to the character. And I keep thinking of that old biblical line, give to Caesar Caesar's due. So everything that is to do with the world and the body and its laws belongs to it. So you don't try to change that or take that away. You'll be very frustrated if you do. I've known people that have tried to say, I'm so awful, I will not engage in anything in the world, or I've grown tired of engaging in anything in the world. Well, those things are actually like the character trying to stop the character. So, of course, it's frustrating and impossible and creates another layer of yucky feelings, right? So we learned that the feelings, the thoughts, the reactions, all that belongs to the character. And then there's this absolutely peaceful, joyful, wonderful self that is always occurring, no matter what. It never was born. It never dies. It is eternal. It is God. And we get to know that even better and better. So from all this time that we've been looking out into the world and sending out the hungry dogs of fear to go bring us back everything that we want to react to and remain involved, like looking out, now we are turning around and we're looking at who's been looking the whole time, and we find ourselves. And like I said, once that becomes very solid, more solid and real seeming than the world that we thought had been real, the physical world, then we remain there, always with that presence awareness going on. So that is the way the two worlds appear, as if they're happening at the same time. One is false and is not happening, but there can be an awareness of it, and there generally is for a while there is this pure awareness of like basically being everything. But when I say being everything, it is not stars and nebula and atoms and rivers and trees. That is a projection of separation. But now this oneness can look back upon what it had projected and made, and now has this benevolent love towards it. It doesn't see any separation. It doesn't see any badness. It's not even in the higher self's mind, right? It's just not even there. So you can find a ton of workbook lessons, a ton of lines in the book that discuss all of this. And as you're first reading and learning about those concepts, it's like as if the body person is learning all of that, the separated person. Then you go back and you read it again after you've found your real self, and it reads completely different. And in fact, the things that hadn't made sense to the body, like you're going to forgive your brother for what he hasn't done, or you say, what you really believe is that you're the home of evil, darkness, and sin, right? So everything that is love and light and beauty, you can use that as like an affirmation, but you're not believing it at all, because as the body, it doesn't believe that. That's not what it's meant to be. So it just becomes so obvious that what is God's law stays with God's laws, and what's the world's law stays with the world's laws. They don't mix. You don't try to mix them. You don't try to change anything. And so anyway, this was less than 10 minutes, but that's cool. Let's just end there. Talk to you later.